Welcome to the Unpressed Podcast, our weekly virtual cocktail hour between two old friends on opposite coasts. I'm Jenny, a single mom living in Silicon Valley in the land of tech bros, venture capital, and questionable wellness trends.
And I'm Talbot, gay, married, living on the East Coast, dividing my time between New York chaos and Palm Beach drama.
We've survived marriages, divorces, bad highlights, worse decisions, and somehow we're still laughing.
Mostly to keep from crying. So every week we pour a drink and unpack whatever life, love, or our aging bodies have thrown at us lately.
No filters, no pretending to have it all together.
Just two friends, a little too honest and completely unpressed. Intense topic you've got going for us today.
Yes, I've been wanting to talk about awe for a while. For those of you who don't know, I'm in a Master's of Psychology graduate program. And in the field of positive psychology, awe is really having a day. It's really emerging as its own emotion that we didn't recognize in the past, but we are realizing is a very powerful emotion with real mental and physiological results. Let's start with maybe a definition of awe, because
Sure.
I think people have different senses of what it is. In psychology, awe is defined as an emotional response to something vast, something so big, powerful, or meaningful that it challenges the way we normally understand the world.
Yep. Yeah.
So think like looking at a beautiful mountain or listening to a piece of music that blows your mind.
So, well, Jenny, you remember we did this together many years ago when we went on safari to Africa. I think that was, for me, at least we could talk about different aspects of awe as I see it. But for me, that was one of those physical awe moments. I remember at one point flying into one of those tiny little landing strips and realizing that there was nothing else around us except animals. And there were even animals on the landing strip that we had to buzz to get off. And that was one of those moments where I thought, we don't really matter in the whole scheme of things. We are so inconsequential and so relatively meaningless, even though we think we're all important, that there was this whole other world that just exists and thrives and mutates and changes without any involvement from us whatsoever. And again, there were so many times during that trip. I remember that one camp where we had to go outside the tent to go to find the bathroom. Do you remember that camp? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I just remember in the middle of the night because I have the world's tiniest bladder, as Jenny knows, and having to get up in the middle of the night and go out. And not only was it so incredibly dark and the stars were so obviously incredibly bright, but the noises that I heard, again, had nothing to do with us. The sounds of the hippos and these other things that I didn't even recognize. And for once, I just felt so meaningless. I thought, if something wanted to come in and have me for dinner, then that was the way it was going to be. And I think that was one of those moments where I felt both scared and enthralled. Just the fact that there was still these places on our planet where we haven't really yet destroyed them all completely. That they were just such filled with beauty and grace and magnitude, but then also feeling again that I was out there completely at risk for anything. I was defenseless. I was not the most important person out there.
Yeah, I think when you travel, it has that effect where, especially like that trip to Africa, which was such a new environment for us, it reminds you that there are living creatures animals, humans that have no sense of our world and never will. They will live in this savanna and die in this savanna with n- no understanding of where we are. And it
Right.
is very humbling to realize that our world is not the center of the
Of the universe.
universe. It
Absolutely.
feels that way to us, but um yeah, there are creatures and there are mountains and there are natural, beauties that have been here for thousands
Billions
and
of years.
thousands
Yeah.
of years, or if not millions of years, and they will be here for thousands more long after we are gone. And that is so humbling and really puts into perspective what it is to be a human living a single life.
Correct. Correct. Because you do realize that we're just a cog in a wheel, that as you said, things just will happen without us. And maybe for the better, to be honest with you. I keep
Mhm.
thinking that these animals have been just placed into a world in which their very essence is optimized. They are there, they do what they're meant to do. They live, they die, they hunt, they feed, they birth. And it's almost perfect without any part of us being involved.
Mhm.
And like,
Mhm.
that was the other part of it, was that I also just realized that we as humans can have such a devastating effect on things around us and
Yeah.
people and nature and other, as it relates to religion. Because I think that there are moments when, if you're religious, spiritual, whatever, as I am, we're very involved in the Episcopal Church, both here and in Florida. There are moments where you just get a sense that something is much bigger than who you are, and you get a glimpse into something else. As I think we're, a week away from Christmas, and this whole notion of what those shepherds must have felt,
Mhm.
right? Because they had been taught these prophecies from their Jewish history and faith, and they were experiencing the very thing that had been foretold to their ancestors. And
And
there must,
and they were afraid, right?
well,
Their awe at first was terror, really.
right, right. Well, you can imagine for them, the entire world had shifted, right? The Messiah had come, and the belief was that he was going to bring about great change.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about a very small piece of the world, because obviously they wouldn't have known much of anything that was going on beyond 100 miles from where they were.
Mhm.
And all they knew was that he was going to upend everything that had been before. So to be looking at a child in a manger and be thinking that this thing that is lying there, probably fussing, probably crying, is
Mhm.
also going to be the thing that ends up changing the entire face of what it means in the region. And
Isn't
at least
that
for
part of the nativity story, how this tiny baby, helpless baby can be so powerful and
this, of
mean
course.
so much to so many people? Sort of the power of the nativity story. The interesting thing about religion and awe is that um, religion induces awe, either through its stories or soaring cathedrals or rituals and music and that being in a room together. And we talk about concerts later. So religion borrows from awe, the science of awe, but also if you can tap into awe, you tend to be more religious So it makes you more open to things that are unexplainable or don't really have a scientific base to them. So,
Yeah, I would say that
mhm.
religion, if you use it, let's broaden it beyond the Abrahamic traditions. Religion and the belief in others, a god, even if it was polytheistic back in the Greek time, I think religion is actually the inventor of awe because everything religion was about was trying to explain the bigger things, the mystery in life. And so you couldn't approach religion without having some appreciation for a sense of awe.
I would argue it's the other way around, that we as humans have awe and we created religion as
Okay,
a
I could see that.
vehicle to feel more of it. The This course I took this semester on human nature was incredibly fascinating, and of course we did a unit on religion. And one of the things we talked a lot about was early humans, like barely not being primates, had to cooperate. They had to work together to hunt. They had to work together to raise babies because babies
Hmm.
actually take a lot of care, human babies. And they had to work together when there wasn't a lot of food. So we evolved to have very good social skills.
Hmm.
And we also evolved to mimic each other,
Hmm.
follow the leader. These are
Yep.
all things that keep us in this space. And one of the things that the awe research shows is that it is pro-social. When you feel awe, you feel closer to your community and you feel like you are a smaller piece in a bigger puzzle. So, like, Dacher Keltner out of UC Berkeley is one of the leading researchers on awe. And I'll tell you about two of his studies. One is he took a group of people to Yosemite National Park. He took another group to Fisherman's Wharf in San Francisco. And then he handed them a piece of paper. All it had on it was a sun and grass and said, draw yourself, draw a self portrait. The people in Yosemite drew teeny, like teeny versions of themselves.
Right, because
And
they
the
were in
people
the vastness.
in Fisherman's Wharf, drew people that were 33% bigger than the
Right,
people who did it when they were in Yosemite. And this is showing this sense of you feel smaller. But he also did a study where he asked people to create two circles, like a Venn diagram. One is you and one is your community. And the people in Yosemite, their circles like almost overlapped. Almost probably because the majesty of Yosemite, they were like, oh, we humans are very tight. Whereas the people in Fisherman's Wharf, their circles were farther apart.
right, right, right,
And
right.
so religion, I believe, taps into our natural reaction to awe because religion is all about how do we get these people organized, working together, cooperating, helping each other to survive. But I think it's so interesting that looking at a mountain makes you feel closer to your community.
Right, right. Have they ever done I wonder if there is or ever there has been a study of how people suffering from depression deal with or relate with awe.
Well, what we know about awe, if you feel it spontaneously or even if you induce it by looking out in the world for awe, it's almost like, practicing gratitude
Yeah.
where you might not feel gratitude all the time, But if you practice, I'm going to write down 3 things I'm
Yeah,
grateful
yeah.
for.
Yep.
It's linked with reduced depression.
Yep.
So when people experience awe, they have some physiological reactions. Well, they have some psychological. They have reduced self-focus. They don't think of themselves as much. They make themselves smaller.
Right.
They have increased feelings of connection and belonging, and their physiology changes. So they have lower inflammation, and we
Hmm.
know inflammation is associated with fight or flight.
Hmm.
Um, and the default mode network calms down. So it like reduces ruminating,
Hmm.
and it reduces worrying about the future. So you're more
Right.
present and your body calms down. And with that reduced stress and that social bonding, like that, humans are wired to relax when they feel socially bonded. And we are wired to be scared and freaked out when we feel isolated, alone, and disconnected
Hmm.
because our ancestors wouldn't survive if they were disconnected.
Right.
So
Right. Right.
the humans who wanted to be together survived and had babies. So we are all wired for this. And I love that you can go out and practice awe, and you actually will calm down your nervous system.
I remember before COVID, I was a lay Eucharistic minister, which means that I was one of those people who were trained to go out to hospitals and homes where people who couldn't get to the church were, either in their own
Mhm.
homes or in healthcare units, and you would take them communion. But so we took communion to this one woman who had been in a pretty much locked in, and for once she looked at us, and I could see her wheels turning, and she had been completely non-communicative. And then she died 2 days later. There was this interesting moment where you just felt that something had happened before she was ready to go. So there was that moment of she was able to connect with her faith and with her community, and that was one of the last conscious moments she had. So that was an awesome moment too. Then you feel, then that's an awesome moment because you think it's not about me. It's about I was there as an instrument of love, an instrument of grace, an instrument of
Right.
connectedness that had nothing to do with me. Right. I was just in the right place at the right time. And it wasn't a happen chance. But I keep telling people, if you look for moments, because some people believe in guardian angels and some people don't. The thing about guardian angel is they are not winged creatures. They are us. And they are us when we are put into somebody's life at a moment when they need us. And if you look for those moments where you have been inserted into somebody's life for a specific reason, you are a guardian angel. And when you witness that,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
I think
So
that's fascinating.
so just next time that happens, next time something random happens and somebody says, "Oh gosh, I'm so glad I saw you. I was just really feeling down, but this really makes me feel better. I'm so happy to have seen you." That's an awe moment, right? Because that is not
Amazing.
happenstance.
So, Talbot, in addition to spiritual experiences, being in nature, the majesty of nature, awe is also induced by music and dance. Like, if you've ever had the experience that you are at a fabulous concert, whether it's classical music or rock music, or you're at a rave, and everyone's dancing, there's this like shared experience, this communal experience that raises our joy. And also for like a split second, if you look around, it's awe-inspiring. Like, how did all these people come together and agree to all dance together?
Right, right, right.
Right. And you're all sharing this emotional experience. It's sort of remarkable with people you've never met before.
Absolutely. You can hear almost everybody breathing in synchronicity. I think that that's why live theater. I think, as you said, music, concert, dances.
And sometimes it's not organized. Like my son and I were in Iceland earlier this year, and I was walking around Reykjavik and I wandered into the main cathedral there, which is really an architectural wonder, quite modern and very Icelandic.
Yeah.
And I wandered in, and the organist was practicing. And it's a sort of famous organ, and the sound quality in the church is renowned. And people just sat in the pews and
Listened.
listened.
Right.
And the sound was so extraordinary. And I felt so lucky to have this experience that was unplanned,
Right.
um, and grateful to this organist. And it almost looked like he was a student because there was an older mentor next to him. And I
Wow.
thought, what a gift that this young guy is learning this and will share that gift, and that he gets to play in this famous
Amazing.
organ.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's the very definition of awe, right? It's one of those
Yeah.
moments that aren't expected. They sort of come upon us. And if you allow yourself to not only stop, but appreciate, really take it in,
Yeah.
really absorb it.
So I I have tried at various times to practice gratitude, and I this week have been practicing awe. So all week long, I set little reminders on my phone, and I have a post-it on my computer. And my office, which I'm sitting in, is I'm lucky enough to be staring at some giant redwoods.
Right.
Like,
Right. I
the
remember
redwoods
them.
in my
Yeah,
yard, they're
absolutely. 100%. Gorgeous.
huge. And every time I look at them, you can't believe it. You can't believe this
Right.
giant tree is in my little yard.
Right.
Um, and just walking down the street and noticing somebody helping an older woman out of
Right.
her
Exactly.
car,
Exactly.
or
Yeah.
noticing what the sky turned so pink last night. And it's like retraining your brain, and what that does is it brings us into the moment.
Right.
And as we said, it stops the ruminating. It makes a lot of things seem less important that seemed really important a minute ago.
Right. But I would say I also get that reading. I don't know if you've read Grapes of Wrath recently, but I read it as part of my MFA.
I'm
And
having trouble focusing on a novel. It's like the stupid internet has made it so that reading a long form novel is very difficult for me. How are you managing to focus long enough and not keep looking at your phone?
when was reading it as part of understanding the craft of writing, the first three sentences just blew me away by his use of words to create experience.
Can you give me an example?
It was, yeah, it was just, he was describing the dust and the feel of the earth and the sun and the heat. And he did it in such a way that it became so tangible. It wasn't
Mm,
just a theoretical thought. It wasn't just words on a page. He created a
uh-huh.
moment. And I thought, wow, I hadn't appreciated that. I know when I read this book the first time because I don't remember any of that.
Yeah.
So I think we do have to train ourselves again to read because we've been taught not to. But I think if you can find a writer whom you connect with, and they don't necessarily have to be in the pantheon of great writers. I think we can connect with any kind of writer. But if you go in and are saying, I'm going to put myself in the moment and see what happens if I allow somebody else to create a world for me.
Yeah.
And if I listen to their words and I think about their character and I just for a second assume that this is my experience. I'm out there in the Dust Bowl and feeling the sand and feeling the
Uh-huh.
dryness and feeling the heat. And if you let yourself open to that and you have an author who can tap into that, for me, that's an amazing experience. I just think I think you're right. I think you just have to be open to awe moments wherever they exist. Um,
Yeah. Talbot, given, what we know about awe, that it brings about social bonding, reduced stress, physiological regulation, what role do you think awe plays in midlife and the kinds of things that we are dealing with at this point in our lives?
I think at least this is what I'm trying to realize is the things that I thought were awesome early on are not. I thought, oh, it'd be awesome to have this much money or to have this title or have all this, right? And
Uh,
what I realize is that awesome is having moments with my friends. Awesome is being able to experience either something new overseas when I'm traveling or to go back and re-experience something that's a big favorite, right? Because awe can be a
uh-huh.
repeated moment. um, and I think you just sort of get to a point where you recognize that life isn't just about chasing, it's about experiencing, right? It's not
Yeah.
just about always
What's
grabbing.
next?
It's not about always grabbing for the brass ring. It's about, well, wait a second. I had a wonderful chance to walk around today and look at the flowers coming up. That is
Yeah.
more important. That's really more exciting. Or, my dog came and brought me his favorite toy because that's his way of showing me he loves me.
Yeah.
And you just
Yeah.
think, okay, I think when you get to a certain point in your life, you start to appreciate, probably because you start to realize that time is actually finite and there is only so much that we have. And if we aren't grateful for those moments that happen along the way, if we are
Uh-huh.
blind to those moments of awe, because they're
Uh-huh.
happening on a regular basis, we just don't recognize them. And I love the fact
Right, right.
that awe
Amazing
and
things are
gratitude is
happening
tied
every
together.
day.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think you just get to a point in your life where your priorities shift and you start to appreciate what you have versus what you're trying to get.
Yeah. It's hard though, right? It's hard when life deals up a lot of stress and uncertainty and health problems with your parents or raising children. There's so much to worry about. It is hard to stop and say, wow, that was miraculous what I experienced today, or that was sort of amazing what I heard last night.
I think we do ourselves a disservice if we don't look for the awes in everyday moments.
So I've so enjoyed this topic. It has been on my mind for a long time. And what I would invite people to try is to go out there and notice. Note,
Right, put themselves in the path of awe. Yeah.
yeah, notice the taste of your food. Notice the kindness of somebody who helped you load the groceries in your car. And really almost be like a child again,
Right.
to feel that awe and wonder and allow yourself to almost let go of reason and also let your body really enjoy that calm.
Right. Right. And you can always send us an email via our website and let us know those kind of moments that you found and let us know how you found moments of awe. That would be kind of cool. So if you enjoyed listening to that, please support us by subscribing to our channel and by telling everyone you possibly know. You can email us at theunpressedpodcast@gmail.com. That's all one word, the Unpressed Podcast, no spaces. You can also follow us at Instagram. Our handle is @unpressedpodcast. Thanks so much.